States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Take public comments.
Thank you. Father, we pray for this meeting tonight. We love the City Schools. Their administrators and teachers are just beyond the norm. And I just thank you for them. I thank you for what you do in this place. Father, we know that there are decisions to be made and things to be discussed tonight. I just seek your favor, your wisdom, the power of your love in this meeting, in every heart and life that's here. We know that many of us may not agree with others and different things that are going on, but God, I pray tonight for peace. And I thank you now in Jesus' name.
Amen.
That's it? No comments? Okay. Moving on to consent agenda. Anything we need to change there, or are you okay with that? No. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the consent agenda. It's like all of it.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Anything you want to say? We're good? All in favor?
Aye.
Reports. Superintendent report and recognitions.
Okay, so back to my goals every month. As far as bringing joy back to learning, working, and living in Mountain View School District, this is a very joyful time of year because students are preparing for graduation, and oh my goodness, those scholarships and those college recognitions start rolling in, and it's just so amazing to see those when they come in and see the kids. And I'm really noticing some cool scholarships for things that you wouldn't normally. You see sports and you see grades, but we had a music scholarship last week that, like, those are the cool things. Those are the well-rounded, amazing adults that we're creating in Mountain View School District. So just a celebration of that. We're making great citizens. Developing practices and protocols. You see job descriptions on your agenda to approve tonight. That was a job. I love it, and I'm excited about them moving forward. We have also developed protocols for our onboarding meeting, and we have scheduled that for August, and that will be for all new staff, and they'll come in, and it'll be everything from here's your computer and your security and key fobs to this is our insurance programs that we have, this is how we use our phone systems, documentation of all things. So getting back to some of those procedures that we used to have in the district that have kind of fallen apart as the district went through crisis. We have also, the administrators and Kim Fales have been working on the calendar for the next year and scheduling the professional development days and making sure that we're meeting all of the new expectations from the legislature about all of the things from dyslexia to de-escalation. That was D to D, that wasn't a great example, but all the different expectations that the state has for us, and making sure that we're providing time for teachers to do that and learn that information. And it feels good because it feels like we're planning forward instead of reactively planning. So those are great meetings. And then my final goal, everyone learning every day. A goal's only a dream until you write it down, right? And so we've been writing down procedures, and that is a good learn for all of us as we work through that and then have to adjust those. And then all of the administrators are working on being reflective, because you don't grow if you don't look back at what did we do well, what do we need to change, and how can we change that. So working on our learning right now is about being reflective. What's working, what's not, let's fix it. And then my superintendent recommendation or recognition this month is I really want to recognize the principals. In the world of education, we hear from patrons when they're upset. And I hear from patrons when patrons are upset. I do. But what's been amazing this year is how many times patrons have reached out to me to celebrate a principal or celebrate a teacher. And that is amazing. And we have 4 administrators, a 3-year administrator, a 2-year administrator, and 2 one-year administrators. Those are all rookies. That's a lot to learn. And on top of that, it causes you to be a rookie again when you change superintendents every year. So I think that our 3 years had 3 superintendents, right? And so that's a lot of learning, and they have been amazing. They're so collegial. They're helping each other out all the time. We meet monthly, and often somebody will have a question, somebody else has it, I'll send that to you. They share it with them, have good feedback. And so I just want to recognize the building principals and the cultures that they're building in their school and the things that they're doing to make change for students. Great year for them, great work. I did tell the principals that they didn't have to do a building report today, so they get out off the month.
So no principal reports?
No principal reports.
But we do have really good paper ones.
We do have good, and we will get those up on the website. And I did kind of tell them, dial it down next year. You guys are spending too much time doing these amazing reports. And I love it if you do get into them and look at the data that they're presenting. Attendance data, ISAT data, star reading data, IRI data. So you're starting to see that coming back from those buildings.
Will you explain, we did these ISAT data, what each color code represents?
Sure, let me pull one up so I can speak with some kind of...
It's after.
There we go. Okay, so in the Grangeville High School, looked at hers today, so that's why I pulled it up. Blue is considered advanced proficient, so that's like the really high, and then green is proficient, and yellow is approaching proficient, but not quite there, and then red is concern. And so I'm super celebrating. I looked at this data today. That's why I'm using this data. There's other really good data on this. So for instance, Grangeville High School, 75% of the students were either proficient or advanced proficient. In the district, 57% of the students were proficient or advanced proficient in science. And in the state of Idaho, only 39% of the students were proficient or advanced proficient.
So we're outperforming the state.
We are outperforming the state. We are outperforming the
that's the
state.
take-home.
Okay, and English, I want to celebrate this. I think
That's different. We're not.
she's looking at attendance. That's attendance.
Yeah,
Amanda's has it. And then, and Amanda's has hers back because her data came back. They only test 11th grade at the high school level, so she has a smaller chunk of data. Results came back, so that's why she's able to provide this
But
for
she
you.
said some of her highest students haven't even
Right.
tested yet.
Right. So then when you go to the next section down, that was science that I just did. The next section, English, the state of Idaho 60% proficient, the district 69% proficient or advanced, Grangeville High School 85% proficient or advanced. So again, our district and the high school are outperforming the state of Idaho in English. And oh gosh, I thought I shared the math with you guys in an email.
You did.
Because it came in after she did her board report.
Yeah.
And in the email that I forwarded, the school and the district outperformed the state in math as well. So super excited. Again, she has her data back because she has the smallest test set. So her data comes back a little bit faster than some of the other schools, but I'm just celebrating. And
that's encouraging.
are there areas to work on? Yeah, there are areas to work on, but are we growing? Absolutely.
And there was 12 kids that are high-level kids that were doing something else, and so they still have to test. So those will be most likely even higher.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm super excited. Again, there are pockets and things we need to work on. I don't want to be a Pollyanna. Well, maybe I do. But anyway, I'm just proud. I'm proud of the principals. I'm proud of the hard work they're doing. And I feel like this ship is moving forward. And that's awesome.
We good? Move on to financial report. Sorry.
Okay, so my financial report, I always like to pull it up via the website, so I just remind everyone how to get there. At the top, there's a financial section, and then under financials are all of our options, and so it's just under more report. And so for April, it's just our year-to-date that we've received for revenue and year-to-date spent and our percentages. This is pretty on par for how the state funds us. They give us about 50% in August and then additional payment in November, February, and we just got our May one today. That's not reflective because we're just talking about through April. And so the fund So this 92% makes sense because they front load it. And then if we go to our expenditures, down at the bottom, we're at 65% because our expenditures are kind of held at the end because of how our contracts and agreements with our employees work out, because we have to accrue July and August into this school year. So you see our salaries and benefits are all about in the 60% range because we still have a handful of months to expense, but the remainder of our expenses are kind of hit in that 90%, 90 to 80%. So we're getting our expenses but again, because salaries and benefits make up almost 80% of our budget, that's where we're at year to date. But my financial report isn't too exciting because I have a budget workshop next. So anything for my finance?
Move on.
Looks like you wanted to ask something. Well, how much longer do we have you? Me? June 3rd. Sorry. You're good. So for the budget workshop, we went over a bit at the last month board meeting in Clearwater Valley. It was preliminary, and now I have a few more numbers for revenue purposes from the state. And so this is the description part of how we take those numbers from the state and formulate it to how it funds us as a district. So this is a lot of like verbiage, but this slide shows how we're taking it. So we are budgeting 61 support units for next year for Mountain View School District. Those support units are driven by our students' attendance. And in the healthcare, the state funds us at $21,901 per support unit, and discretionary funds is $23,472 per support unit. I'm sorry, the president board should be saying this. No, there we go. And so those are our funds that we're budgeting for next year, and then the salary-based apportionment per support unit for administration, so that's principal and superintendent, we get 0.075 of an administrator per support unit. So at 61 support units, we're budgeting about 4.5. And then for certified, we get 1.1 employees funded by the state per support unit. So that's 69.1. And certified, so that includes our teachers, our counselors, and our nurse. And then classified, like myself or Michael or our custodians and paras and secretaries, they fund it at 0.375 per support unit. So we're just getting funded at under 23. And I would say that's probably where the biggest discretion happens in state funding. And then our benefit apportionment is the percentage of Social Security and PERSI, which is the state retirement, based off of these N numbers. And then transportation, we get funded at 50% for the majority, and then 85% for maintenance on our vehicles. And so I kind of go like verbiage-wise and then the formula part, and then I think it's really important to see a side-by-side comparison. So last year, this current school year, the state is funding us $20,150 per healthcare support unit. So it is going up per support unit, which is good because we budgeted 63 support units this current school year, but next year we're budgeting 61 because our enrollment is going down so much. And so that's reflected in our students' attendance, and therefore we don't believe will be funded as heavily. And so with that, even though our support units are going down, because the state is increasing the per support unit for healthcare, we're still going to have a little bit of an increase, which is good. The bummer is they did not increase our discretionary funding, and therefore that will go down because our support units budgeted is going down. And then again, this is our side-by-side of the 61 versus the 63 support units is where we're finding a discrepancy. But still, because the state is putting more money into our salary apportionment, it's about a 5% increase. That is what's created for the salary itself, an increase for administration of funding, and then the benefit apportionment that aligns with it. The same situation with our certified staff, because we're budgeting less support units, we get less employee portion, but again, their funding is going up, and so that's what's causing the increase for both salary and benefit, and then the exact same situation for our classified. So less employees being funded, but a higher rate at their funding, and so they're going up. And then an overall increase, or showing an increase over all the salaries, and then the total benefits that we're anticipating for next year's funding. I did have this slide at last month's board meeting, but I just thought it was important to reiterate because again, our enrollment is going down, and therefore we obviously have to anticipate our attendance going down. And so that's why some of these are red, is because they're based off of attendance or enrollment factors from our district, whereas some of them is based off of our staff employed, and so they stay the same. And then so, as of right now, if you compare our current year's budget to our proposed next year's budget, and you'll see some of these numbers that bring, like you saw the negative 46,000 for discretionary because the state didn't increase that amount, but they did increase health insurance. So these numbers related to our slides from above. But, and then you may wonder why the transfers into general fund is lower, because we are going to anticipate for like the first year in a while a carryover from our budget, and so that means we actually had a decent spending year. We got a little bit more revenue than we were anticipating, and we didn't have all the expenditures as of now of what we were budgeting, so we'll have a little bit to carry over to next year, and so we won't have to transfer funds from like the secure rural schools, and we don't need that whole. But so this is our local up above, because the $2.9 million levy was a 2-year levy. We're going to anticipate that again. And then I did increase our tort by 3% because that is dictated by the state. The penalties and interest for delinquent taxes, that's the biggest increase because we haven't had a levy in so many years. There will be some that are delinquent, and those do come back to us as the district, and so I did increase that. And then the rental income, that was probably my biggest shock factor of our revenue, local revenue this year. That also was more than I anticipated. And so we're pretty consistently renting out our facilities, which is nice. We're utilizing them for our communities, and so I did add that revenue just a little bit. But then again, via the state, a little bit of an increase, almost 400,000. So our general fund budget should be roughly just over 14 million. There's a few factors that I haven't, my next slide would be our expenses, but there's a few factors that I haven't dialed in yet, and so I just don't have that prepared as I would like, and so I'll just wait there. But a few things I do want to mention is our secure rural schools funding. They said that we would get it this year, even though it hasn't been renewed. The unfortunate part is we were anticipating about 900,000. We got 97,000. So that is, yeah, about 10% of what we budgeted.
Oh, wow.
So you said there's going to be some carryover from this year, but what amount is that?
I'm anticipating between 800,000 and 900,000.
So we might be able to be okay because.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, because of the carryover, then we won't have to dip into secure rural schools, and therefore, even though it's not getting renewed this coming school year, it's obviously it is detrimental. It it's not as devastating as it could have been.
A couple of factors that made us lucky there. A couple of funds came in a little bit higher than were anticipated, so that was amazing. Carly, I'm sorry, she's tight. and guess what? So am I. And so we really cut spending, and we watched spending really, really carefully. And then this one isn't a benefit. We had 2 positions that we were unable to fill this year. Just because there were not applicants, so we had to do a workaround for those positions, and so that also helped with that carryover.
Are we going to try to fill them for next year?
Yes, they'll remain in the budget, and we'll try to fill those. One of them is, for instance, CTE at Clearwater Valley High School. We had Bruce Wasmuth cover that and a para, so we did spend some of the money, but we need a teacher there. We need a person in that position.
So that's kind of a prep to next month's obvious budget hearing at our June meeting. But yeah, I feel like in a really good position. We had some situations that, because of the budget, we did budget for those specific positions, but they never got filled, so that was a little bit of a savings. But we're gonna stay as close to status quo as we can. I think there may be some attrition due to lesser enrollment, but we'll stay pretty on par with expenses. And then the expenses, like utilities, I was gonna add 5%, but honestly, we've done so much in our building levels. Our maintenance team is doing a phenomenal job. We've insulated rooms that haven't been insulated, and not necessarily like rooms, but like our bus hallway that like was constantly pumping out heat because the room next to it was trying to keep it up during the winter. So like I say we, it's totally them. Our maintenance team is just doing a phenomenal job like that. And so with how utilities have been going, I think with those savings of the insulation and just keeping up with our buildings, I don't know if a 5% increase is necessary, but another like factor is our workers' comp. We're gonna get a 5% discount this year because we follow a drug-free policy, and so they're allowing us to sign up with that. And so there's things that are coming through the expenses, but it probably will follow a trend of about 5 to 10%. Our health insurance is going up about 9.5%. And then with the state increase for funding, that also means they're raising their minimums. And so, but I think again, the biggest factor to consider is that what came out of the local contribution for general fund last year for staff is what will be budgeted for this year, and the rest of it will come from state.
And for transparency, because of decreased enrollment, we will have fewer teachers next year and fewer parapros. We are covering that through not filling positions that are leaving, through attrition. So I just wanted to make sure that in order to balance the budget, to keep it there, and also budget for 2 support units less, we are not going to fill every position that's coming open. We're doing some rearranging to be able to make that happen and still give quality programs to kids.
Okay, so I'm just a little worried because the 5% increase on the salary apportionment, but then Governor Little made it so that we have to increase our teacher salaries, the base $2,000, and so then we're gonna, that's 4% of the 48,000. So how are we gonna cover that request from the state when we aren't getting it from the state?
Well, I mean, we are getting a lot of it from the state because they're raising their minimums of like our funding, and so our average is going up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was our average last year? I forgot about that.
Legion.
Our average was about 57,000 last year, and
Okay.
this coming year, I'm anticipating it to be about 62.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Nice job, Carly.
Thank you
Good
so
job.
much.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Wong. Harvey?
What's your timer for?
What's
How
that?
long?
8 minutes.
I can, yeah.
Your identity content is PDF, and then I've got handouts. Trustees.
Thank you.
And then I see Trustee Myers is not here, so here's one for her and one for you, and one for Madam Superintendent.
Trustee Minot was absent as well.
Okay.
Do you have one for
I
him?
got one for Trustee Minot also.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then,
Timer's going, so you better get.
okay, so I'm here this evening, thank you very much for the opportunity to have this discussion. So I'm here to inquire about some things regarding the teachers union. Next slide, please. So all of the information I'm going to show tonight, with the exception of the questions at the end, are available on publicly available resources. This is, I got this off the district's website, and so this is the title page of the contract for the teachers, and you can see that it says negotiated agreement for this academic year between the Central Idaho Education Association, an affiliate of the Idaho Education Association and the National Education Association, and the MVSD 244 Board of Trustees. Next slide, please. So this is off of the IEA website. The link is down here. So you can see it's the IEA, Idaho Education Association. And over here, it says, we are the Idaho affiliate of the National Education Association. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. So I got this from US Legal. It's a place where you can go, and it's an online dictionary for legal terms. And so it's a little hard to read here. Here's the thing. It's okay. Next slide, please. I've got to expand. So I copied the salient part and pasted it here. And so if we look at what the definition of, the legal definition of affiliates is, affiliates are business concerns, organizations, or individuals that control each other or that are controlled by a third party. Control may consist of shared management or ownership, common use of facilities, equipment, and employees or family interest. The employees or receipts of all affiliates are included when stating the firm's size. The power to control is the key factor in affiliation with another business concern, whether exercised or not. And so, before you move on, I'd like to just remind folks that the previous slides showed that the local union is an affiliate of both IEA and NEA. Okay, next slide, please. So this is a snip out of a news article from several months ago. It was from the Washington Times. It says the NEA ACLU bring a lawsuit against Trump administration's attack on DEI in education. Here it says the National Education Association, joined by the American Civil Liberties Union and two of its state chapters, filed a lawsuit Wednesday back then against the Department of Education, challenging its Dear Colleague letter that threatens to cut federal funds to schools that discriminate based on race. The February 14th letter cited DEI initiatives that stigmatize certain races and offer opportunities to students based on race and ethnicity that are not available to students of other races. So if you look at this, basically what the NEA is doing is it's filing a lawsuit to protect racism, or at least racial practices in education, stigmatizing certain races and offering opportunities to students based on race and ethnicity that are not available to students of other races. So they're being selective as to who they provide opportunities to, rather than making them available to all, regardless of ancestry and that kind of thing. Next slide, please. So the questions I have, does the local union chapter align with the state IEA and the national NEA organizations? Question in general, on DEI in particular, especially in light of the lawsuit news that we just saw in the previous slide. And then another question is, who does the local IEA union chapter organization report to? The way I understand the teachers are reporting as individuals through the school district organization. They report to their building principals. The building principal reports to the superintendent. The superintendent reports to the board of trustees. Now, as I understand it, this Central Idaho Education Association is an organization that has its own life, if you will, in a legal sense. And so then the question becomes, the individual members, as teachers, may have that other reporting structure, but then the question is, who does the union report to? Is it the state IEA, the local school board, local school superintendent, or somebody I haven't mentioned here, other? And then some questions about funding. Where does the local union chapter funding come from? Is that just dues from the union members? Are there any other outside sources of funding, like other than the teacher dues? Do any of the dues funds go somewhere other than the local union chapter? And if so, where is that? Does the district collect dues from the teachers on behalf of the union? Sometimes one might consider it a payroll deduction. And so is there that service that the district is providing on behalf of the union? And then teachers get time to do union work. Are they paid for this by the district? Paid by the union? Do they do it for free? How's all this work? So these are the questions that I and some of my colleagues came up with, and we would appreciate answers to them.
So, in Idaho, Idaho code allows for teachers to select a representative body for themselves, and it gives a process for that. For instance, they have to collect what's called 50+1. So there are multiple bodies that negotiate for teachers. In Idaho, it's generally the Idaho Education Association, and they have a local organization. In other states, there are more. Idaho's a right-to-work state, so there just aren't a lot of negotiating bodies. So
Teachers are teachers. They're employed by the district. They do what the district wants them to do. But outside of that, they have a right to select an organization to negotiate for them, and that's what they do. So they show the membership of more than 50%. They don't have to have membership of 50%, but they have to have a signed card allowing them to negotiate for the teachers of this district. That's outlined in Idaho code. I don't know those numbers off the top of my head, but I can send them to you if you'd like. And so they have done that, and all they do is negotiate. Dues, what they collect, how they spend it, who they report to, that's an outside organization. They don't report to the district at all. The district does do payroll deducts for a variety of things. Insurance, sometimes it's garnishments, unfortunately. So we do have deductions, and so one of those deductions that they can check, and it goes into the system and happens automatically, is a negotiation, a dues to their association. And so that's a check that just goes out as part of, just like insurance checks go out and garnishments and all of that kind of thing. So it's an outside organization that the teachers have selected to represent them in the negotiations process. We don't report to them, they don't report to us. We simply meet at a table and negotiate a contract.
Okay, thank you. That, I think, explains the relationship between the union district. Then another question I have is, how does that union chapter align with IEA and NEA, particularly on DEI?
That would be a question that they would have to answer because they're not our organization, so I don't have that information. You'd have to reach out to them to ask that information.
I'm addressing this Peppercorn, who I see in the audience.
I think it's really hard for one person to speak for 45 teachers.
As the leader, one would expect that she is, at least has a good handle on what the policies are and what direction they're heading.
But typically,
Do you want to comment on that?
if she wants to, she may. However, I do want to say, typically I would ask that someone is prepared and knows that they're going to be asked that. She's getting asked a question out of the blue here. My recommendation is that she says, send me your questions and I'll get you an answer.
Yeah, it's really hard to speak for
So.
42 people.
Well,
46.
The organizations that I've been part of, you can say, well, it's hard to speak for 42 people, but if you're the leader, you should be the one to be speaking for the organization. And so that's what I'm asking for. It would be nice if she could provide an answer this evening, but I would like an answer, like a commitment that I'm going to receive an answer sometime.
Maybe something like they don't take a stance on that since we have like 1% population with that. I mean,
They actually are more than 50%. Again,
no,
if she,
I'm saying the student body.
oh, I'm sorry, yes. If she
We're
wants
in
to, if she
Idaho.
wants to answer tonight, she may, but my recommendation to her would be to say, why don't you send me your questions and I'll get you an answer.
That.
I provide her the questions.
You'd have to poll every teacher that's part of the union about whether they agree with it or not.
Water.
This, I'll make a comment on this.
No, good.
And I've told the teachers union this already. I don't like the NEA. I don't like their politics. I don't like it. I would prefer that we did not have a union in our school district. However, at this time, in order to do that, you're going to need a couple things. You're going to need community support, which is very iffy. And you're going to need a stable administration that has her back. And everybody's been new. You probably have the most seniority, right? How long have you been here?
2 years in my current role.
She's the most senior principal that we have, and we get a new superintendent every year. Because we're in such disarray, this community is in such disarray, there is no stability. And the teachers' union is the only thing that has stability, that has the teachers back. I would love it if I could convince Mrs. Holthouse to stay around for 10 years and create that stability. She's not going to do that. But you need that. You need community support, and you need stability in administration, so they know that they have someone that has their back. The only one that has their back right now is the union, which is a travesty, because they're flocking to the union because that's the only one that can protect them at this point in time. I would love, I've told them again, I would love a day when we don't even have a union in this district, but at this point in time, I honestly feel it's necessary, which is terrible, because I don't like any politics or anything like that. That's my opinion. I can't speak for the board. I can't speak for them. I'm just commenting on that.
When you're
situation.
negotiating, who's in the room? Like you've done 2 negotiations, right? Who's in the room?
So, Vice Chair Nunn and I am in the room. 3 union representatives,
You mean like teachers, local teachers?
local teachers, Superintendent Holthouse and
I'm there.
Controller.
Tracy's
I'm
there
Oh,
to
yeah,
take
and
notes.
her clerk, yeah. That's
So,
who the-
so that is what we need to focus on. Like the local people, the teachers. Like
But I don't-
this big bad union thing, it's just something that they pay, so if they have like a horrible principal that attacks them, they have some sort of somebody backing them.
Yeah,
Okay, so he can.
I would say the primary purpose of the union is to protect the teachers at this point in time. The problem is that union has gotten involved in politics. I personally
That
don't like.
higher union that has nothing, I mean,
Yeah.
And I think that's the question. The question isn't about what the local people are doing.
But that's what we're focusing on.
Well, I think the issue is stated is how do things align? You know,
Who is
organizations,
Who has
they're
a
not
star?
asking local.
Who has a star on their ballot?
Well, I don't think.
Let
Like,
me
we need to
interject
label
something,
people
because
or
you
whatever.
mentioned that the teachers have the right to collective bargaining, and I support that. The question I have is, okay, they could have formed their own independent union. And so the question then is, why is this on the contract that they're identifying as an affiliate of the IAA and the NAA if they are not in alignment with what those organizations hold? Because every organization holds something. You can say, oh, it's just a collection of loose individuals, but organizations don't form that way. They form around a common cause. And every organization that I've seen that's been reasonably well organized, has had some kind of a mission statement. And so to say, it's 42 people, who knows what everybody thinks is a red herring, and it's throwing something out to try to diffuse responsibility, because if they're a reasonable organization, they should have some kind of document that says, this is what we believe in, and this is how we
Central
operate.
Idaho Education Association is an affiliate of Idaho Education Association, which is an affiliate of the National Education Association. That Central Idaho Education Association is the association that the certified staff have selected to do their negotiating.
Okay.
So they don't report to us. That is the group that negotiates for the certified staff, and that was selected by the certified staff, 50 plus 1% of the certified
That's fine.
staff.
I'm not asking, I'm done asking the question of who they report to, whether it's the school, and so then the question is, who do they report to if it's not the school? I mean, if it's not the school district. And so within the affiliates, it looks like they at least have some affinity or alignment with those organizations, or else they would not have elected to have been identified as their affiliates. Because according to this legal definition, if you come down to here, Charlie, slide back, please. It talks about legally, and that is, the contract is a legal document, isn't it? Yes, of course.
So you're past
It's
5 minutes.
2 minutes.
Okay, it says that there is control involved here. And so
They're not an affiliate of Mountain View School District.
I know, you said so. What I'm saying is the affiliation is with IEA and NEA.
Are you
And
wanting
so-
them to drop their affiliation? What is your purpose with this?
I'd like clarification. I'd like to have clarified since.
I don't know what you need
Ask
to
them.
clarify.
Come down here, please. So NEA has filed a lawsuit regarding their support of DEI as defined here as discrimination based on race. And I would like to know whether the local union is aligned with discriminating based on race.
So my recommendation is that you ask them. I don't know that it's appropriate to ask them in this public meeting without warning them. So I would recommend you email them and ask them, or call them, or send them a letter, and then they will answer your question.
Mrs. Holdhouse, the union president is right here, and I have asked her verbally. And so what I'm doing is I'm asking, these are the questions she's received, the same handout that all of you received, that I handed them out to. And so what I'm asking her to do is, since she has questions, send me the answers.
Well, she hasn't even looked at that lawsuit yet.
Well,
What
she
time
can look
do
at
you
it now.
have? What
Yeah.
time did you give her the questions? What time
Did you present these questions to her beforehand? So she could research this
And told her,
and talk to all the other teachers to see what their opinion on that is?
She got the handout at the same time you guys got there.
just now.
Yes.
And that is it. You can email her if you like. That we're moving on.
Well, she has the handout, and I will send her an email so she knows how to contact me.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. All right, moving on. Business, principal salary schedule.
Okay, in your board packet, I have a recommendation The truth is Carly did the work for a salary schedule for principals. This sets a base rate for all principals, and then that rate is adjusted based on the number of students in their building, the number of certified staff that they are supervising, and then the number of activities that they have based on junior, senior high school has, you know, they have more basketball games and the sports and things that they have to supervise. So you see that formula on the beginning, on the first page, and then the second page has the 4 individual buildings. And, well, it's 4 squares because there's 4 individual principals, 1 for CVE and Elk City, 1 for Clearwater Valley High School, 1 for GEMS, and 1 for GHS. And then it has their base rate, the steps, and then an increment for education as well.
I just have one question. How does this relate to current year? Is there an increase? I don't have any at this point.
It follows the state. Yeah, correct.
Okay, that's what I need to know. Thank you.
So do we need a motion on this?
I do. Approve the proposed salary schedule, if you so choose.
So potentially, a principal could make more than the superintendent? This is building administrator.
These are
Okay, yeah,
building.
All right.
Sorry. I wore my glasses today, so I have to look at everything too.
So these different criteria, the other factors, are not included in this graph?
Yes, they are. So if you look at the top of that second page, you'll see which factors are included for that building. So all of them have a 190-day
Awesome.
contract,
Okay.
and then it shows the number of students, the increment for students, and the supervision and activities at the top.
And so in years to come, you would increase it 3%?
Whatever the state or whatever you as a governing board decides.
Except for the master's, oh no, okay, sorry. This, yeah.
Are we okay with this? Change anything?
I have a motion.
Did you look at your placement? Okay. And so this would be the proposed for 25-26.
Correct.
You're just copying what the state.
The increase matches what the state is, and then we try to reflect each building and the load in each building based on the number of students they supervise, how many teachers they supervise, the number of activities they have.
Appreciate that.
I've been wanting this forever. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I stole it from somewhere else.
that's okay.
My best work came from another district somewhere.
Yeah. Why reinvent the wheel?
Well, we need a motion. If we do this, or we can table it till next time.
I move that we accept the building administrator salary schedule for 25-26 as presented.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of principal contracts.
You have had a 2-year rolling contract, so 3 of these administrators would be entering year 2 of their 2-year contract, and my recommendation is to give a 2-year rolling contract, which just means extend it out that next year for the 3 that are here, and give a 2-year to the new principal.
Makes sense. Make a motion that we approve the principal contract as reflected on the agenda, section E, number 2.
What, I need separate motions for each one because you have 4
For each one?
principals. Yes.
I recommend we approve the principal contract of Helen Martinez, Clearwater Valley Elementary / Oak City School.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the contract for Vincent Martinez, Clearwater Valley Junior Senior High School.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I recommend we approve the
Charlene Ludicky, New Year.
for Charlene, is it Ludicky? For Grangeville, for Gems.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And finally, we recommend the contract as reflected on the agenda for Amanda Bush, who is Grangeville High School principal.
I'll second.
All in favor? Approval of substitute comptroller.
Okay, my recommendation is that we hire Carly as a substitute. After she leaves us on June 30th, we're going to have our audit, those sorts of things. We will have to lean on her for some support through that process. And so this gives us an avenue for compensating her for additional hours that she works after June 30th.
So, hourly basis?
Yes.
And this may take several months, or how long do we
It
anticipate?
may take a while, maybe up to a quarter, 4 months for that whole entire audit and the return.
Mountain View's audit is scheduled for August 27th. It would be nice to have that as a goal the end of August. I know when I started, I just gave all of the reports for the current year to our current auditor, and we had about 28 journal entries, and they charge us after 5 journal entries, they charge us per journal entry. And so I told Connie that because I've dealt with the 24-25 school year, I'm happy because I
So he
know
just
what
approved
grants have been
the
expended and
contract for
hopefully it
25
would eliminate those journal
No.
entries.
It'd be to
But
extend it one more
I
year.
would be more than happy to go to the quarter, but I
Those
think the
3
end of August
have
would be
already a
beautiful.
contract for next year. They had a
Well, I
2-year
appreciate
contract
that you're
last
willing to stay
year. So he
around.
just
That's
gave them the
great.
next year.
This sounds, sorry.
Do you have a motion?
Not yet. Well, let's do a motion, then we can discuss more. I move that we approve the substitute comptroller for review.
I'll second.
Discussion?
More
Just a couple-
discussion, yeah.
Just a couple of questions. This sounds like another independent contract, is that right?
No, no, she would be an employee of the district.
Okay.
So she would hire, just like we have substitute teachers,
Okay, all right.
But no benefits,
no benefits.
just hourly wage.
Hourly wage.
Compensation. And I know, now I'm putting you in the spot, any idea how much time do you think we might need?
So for the 25,
I think
26
on the
school
high
year,
end, 4 hours.
26, 27 school year for all of them?
They already have 25, 26
So it's for 26, 27.
for the 3.
Okay, let me get this, 26.
I'm good.
All in favor? Aye. Approval of job descriptions. Where are we at with that?
In a separate packet, you got a very lengthy job description for every employee of the district. And so.
It's just digital, right?
It was just digital, yes.
Thanks for getting that done so quickly.
And I'm excited. So the plan for those in August, they will meet with their supervisors, go through the job description, sign them off, and then those will go in their personnel file so that we have those.
Good. I make a motion that we approve the job descriptions as represented by the superintendent.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Did it include facilities? Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
And approval of out-of-state travel.
Okay, so one of these dates you'll notice has already gone past. It is our practice to approve out-of-state travel at board meetings. However, they have this new super district thing. I'm not a big fan of it, and whatever. So they scheduled a game in Malad. There's no motels near Malad. The students had to travel to Utah to be able to spend the night there. And so they did have to travel out of state. That was between board meetings on May 8th and 10th. And then we currently have, and then coming up we have girls basketball. We'll be going to a basketball camp in Missoula, Montana, GHS, and then GHS football will be going to a football camp in Pullman, Washington.
Who pays for those camps?
Those are fundraiser funds.
Okay, and then this super district baseball thing, is that also fundraising?
No, that's a post-league game. Those are actually part of their postseason. So we pay for the travel and the motels for those. I don't love
like
it.
A district?
Yeah, it's like
okay, it's like
IHSA thought that they wanted to get more equal representation across the state, so they developed district tournaments and then super district tournaments, which were rankings using max preps. And guess what is happening in girls softball in the 2A league? All 4 teams are from North Idaho, so I don't think it worked.
Right.
And it just is more travel, and it's expensive, and I have lodged my complaint. This is silliness. District tournaments worked for many, 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 many years, even back when I was in high school. There is silliness to add a whole nother tournament. It's just an expense for districts.
So when will that be able to be changed?
IHSAA works slowly, and there are a number of people who thought it was a good plan. My evidence is 2A girls softball has 4 teams from North Idaho. I don't get it. So maybe by next year, the IHSA has a board of controls and then their own board, and they vote, and superintendents and principals vote in that process. So to get the super districts, or the whatever they are called, it was a vote, and it won. I'm assuming it'll come up to a vote again, and I hope it goes down because it's silly.
We'll just bring
Count on me. Yeah.
Do we need individual motions?
No, I need one full motion, because it's just, you're okay with one
I
full.
move that we approve the out-of-state travel as presented.
I'm gonna second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Approval for the use of school athletic equipment.
So IHSAA requires that football teams that are going to camps get permission from the schools to use their equipment. That's because helmets have to be conditioned. It's only football gear that has to be approved.
I move that we approve the use of school athletic equipment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
These need to be separate.
Oh, they gotta be separate?
These got to be separate.
Oh, the 2 football?
No, policies.
Policies.
This one.
Oh, the policies, okay.
Yep.
Let's talk about policy number 3005.
Just some cleanup there, making sure that we have birth certificates for all students on file. That matches Idaho law, and part of our drive to make sure that we're keeping kids safe. If you don't have a birth certificate, you don't know that that child belongs to that family, and you don't know if they're being trafficked. So it's about just making sure kids are safe and we have birth certificates on file.
I move that we accept policy 3005 as presented.
Second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to policy 3320.
Okay, so this is a review of the substance abuse and alcohol abuse policies and the disclosure for athletes.
Move that we approve the revised policy 3320.
This isn't revised at all, is it?
Well, the red's not there.
Reviewed.
33.
Okay, got it. All right. I second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Policy number 3440.
Okay, this is cleaning up language about courses that students take like IDLA courses, and when we'll charge for those and when we won't charge those. And they pay for courses that they're taking that are, if they want to take a course that we offer in the building, but they want to take it online, they pay a fee for it.
This is just the cost.
Accept revised policy 3440.
So where does it say if they buy it, I mean, if they take this course a second time, it doesn't cancel out the previous grade, it averages them? Different policy.
That's a different policy.
I second, sorry, I should have seconded and then asked the question, sorry.
Further discussion? Good. All in favor?
Aye.
I
3516.
Okay, so this is a policy for epinephrine that is for allergies and allergic reactions. So this policy has been seen and approved by our district nurse as well.
I move that we accept 3516 as presented.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Policy 3540.
Okay, again, this is emergency treatment. Two things, this aligns with clarification from changes in the law about treatment, medical treatment at school, and it aligns with that law and has been read and approved by our district nurse.
I move that we approve the revised policy 3540 as reflected.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor? Moving on to the gender identity and sexual orientation.
Both of the next two were proposed by Trustee Dunn, or Vice Chair Dunn, so I will turn it over to him. The only thing I do have to say is the policy committee has not seen this, so I ask that it's a first reading so that the policy committee can.
If it could go with the cover memo, I'd appreciate it.
I'm sorry, I didn't
If
hear.
it could go with the cover memo to the committee.
Yes, yes, so this is not two policies, this is one policy
It's
with
one
a cover.
policy, it's not two.
Okay, so that's a correction on the agenda.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Where did it originally come from?
This, the original one that I saw was out of Blackfoot, I believe. There's 21 school districts that have adopted this policy, almost what they do.
In our state.
In our state.
In the state of Idaho.
Yes.
I move that we move
It's,
this gender identity and sexual orientation policy to
Second.
the policy meeting.
To a second, to a policy, okay.
I second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And looks like that's it.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor? Thank you everybody for coming.